Here comes 155 people.
Oh.
Good luck, everybody.
All right. All right, Marisa. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Sorry, we're running a little late. I'm going to introduce Marisa Castro from San Antonio with Hearts Need Art, and she's going to start us off with Name That Tune while everybody rolls in.
So if you know the song, feel free to fill up the chat box, okay? Okay, here it goes. 3 little birds sat on the window, and they told me I don't need to worry. Summer came like cinnamon, so sweet. Little girls of a Dutch on the concrete. Maybe sometimes we've got it wrong, but it's alright. The more things seem to change, the more they stay the same. Don't you hesitate, girl, put your records on. Tell me your favorite song. You go ahead, let your head down. Sapphire and faded jeans, I hope you get your dreams. Just go ahead, let your head down.
Okay, we have a lot of people who guessed. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm not minding the chat. So put your records on.
yes.
Is that right? Awesome.
Awesome. And next song, you'll just have to see what it is. I need to remember to not say titles when I do this game. I just get so excited to announce it. Okay, let's see. I think you guys will know this one too. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water. Oh, everyone knows this one. And I think of all the things, what you're doing. And in my head, I paint a picture. 'Cause since I've come on home, well, my body's been a mess. And I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie. Someone's name in here is Valerie. Valerie. Okay, do I keep going or should I move to the next song? What do you think? Should we keep going?
Lainey, did anybody win?
I'm gonna drag
I think
in the chat, you guys.
I think about 50 people named Valerie in the first 10 seconds.
What songs are, and so if Valerie was that song, then Jamie Matthews, I think, was the first one to say so. Is that correct?
Yes,
All
Valerie
right.
by Amy Winehouse. Mhm.
Great job. And if
Thank you.
let's see, Put Your Records On was the correct first song, then Jonathan was the one that got that correct. I'm trying, guys. I'm just like, I think that's right. I must be right. But I'm
Oh yeah, and it was flooding. It was flooding with the correct answer.
yeah.
Well, let's
Good
go
job
ahead.
for everybody.
Yeah, good job, everyone.
Yeah, and great. singing. Okay, I'm gonna
Oh, thank you. Now here you go again. You say you want your freedom. Well, who am I to keep you down? It's only right that you should play the way you feel it. But listen
So everybody's guessing dreams.
That's correct.
That's correct. Awesome.
Ida, good job. You're at first.
And then somebody says that cranberry juice meme song. But I wanted you to kind of explain about Hearts Need Art. So I don't know if headphones would work or what's going on, but everybody, this is Marisa Castro from Hearts Need Art. She has her BA in music therapy, and she is a Hearts Need Art musician in residence, and plays ukulele and sings to patient and plays for patients in the hospital. Marisa, can you tell us a little bit about Hearts Need Art and what they do?
Yes, of course. Thank you so very much for having me. I'm trying to get closer to my computer so you can
That's
hear
good.
me and everything. So thank you. Thank you just for the opportunity to sing with you all today. Name That Tune. Oh, good. It's fixed. Name That Tune is always a really fun game. I do ukulele lessons. So Hearts Need Art is a nonprofit all about helping those experiencing life alternative challenges, and just wanting to be able to help create creative support with adults, adolescents, children, all ages, and wanting to make it accessible for everyone. So you can always go to heartsneedart.org. You can find me, Marisa, or we have some other musicians, and we have some other artists, and we have some other writers. So a bunch of opportunities just to engage in some expressive art therapies free of cost. So you can make a one-on-one session with me, or you can schedule a group session like today. And I'm always thankful to Jennifer and all of AYA for always being so gracious and inviting us to join the events as they come. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Marisa. And if you want to find out more about Hearts Need Art, they are on our landing page, their website. Just click on their icon and it will take you to all of their programming. All right. Betty, are you ready to throw up a slide? Next slide.
You ready,
right?
Jenna?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready. Okay. Oh, that wig there. I took all of my anger out on that wig. Well, that wig and my mom, and maybe that wig, my mom, and some doctors too. My name is Jennifer Borna Carrera, and I have the privilege of being an AYA clinical oncology navigator for the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center and an OG AYA survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma and long-term side effects, too many to name. When I finished treatment, I joined a support group for young adults at the Cancer Wellness Center, where I met my first AYA peer with cancer. After 8 rounds of chemo and a month of radiation, my oncologist thought that I still had cancer and wanted to proceed with more chemo and a stem cell transplant. My support group friend referred me to her oncologist at Northwestern for a second opinion, who did testing and informed me I did not have cancer, but instead scarring in my lung. Had I not met her, had she not referred me to her physician for a second opinion, I would have had more needless toxicity and chronic health issues. This demonstrates the power of connection, self-advocacy, community, and information, which brings me to why we're here tonight. Welcome to the very first annual AYA's Take Chicago. We are so happy to have you here tonight. This is our first event, which has been a true community collaboration with a committee of many local organizations and a few national organizations with local chapters, such as Leukemia Lymphoma Society and Stupid Cancer, to create a special evening of awareness, celebration, and community for AYAs and their supporters. We would like to thank those who made it possible. First, I'd like to thank the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center for giving me the support and the green light to forge ahead with this opportunity. I'd like to thank Teen Cancer America for supporting our AYA program and programs across the nation and the world. I would like to thank the AYA's Take Chicago committee, who have every single one has stepped up to collaborate and pitch in to make this a memorable evening, including a lot of MVPs on the call tonight who saved the day. To each and every committee member, your hard work and generosity has been so appreciated. A special shout out to the cancer patient for their brilliant idea in connecting us to this rock star panel and performers. We'd also like to thank all the medical professionals and advocates that we work with every day. We would like to thank all the AYAs affected by cancer and their loved ones. You are the reason we do what we do, and it's an honor working with you. And last but not least, I would like to thank a very, very special AYA, Denise Martinez, my co-chair for this event. When I reached out to her about Northwestern and University of Chicago partnering, there was no hesitation. We became fast friends with a common goal to unite the AYA survivors, families, and cancer organizations that serve them in Chicago. Denise is a 3 times cancer survivor. Shortly after we began planning this event, Denise began to lose her eyesight and has now completely lost her vision. She refused to let this stop her from working and co-chairing this event while under treatment. I am in awe of her grace and humility and her indomitable will. She's an amazing human with a wicked sense of humor, and I'm so lucky to work alongside her. I would like if everybody could unmute and give Denise the most ridiculously loud applause and love you can bring to her, and welcome her to our imaginary podium.
I love you.
Yay!
I love you, Denise.
Love you, Denise. So much. Thank you guys so much for coming here tonight. Thank you.
People are going crazy in the chat too.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Denise Martinez, and I have the privilege of being the AYA Program Administrator at the University of Chicago Comer Children's Hospital. I was originally diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in 2012. Unfortunately, I had a recurrence in December 2018 and a third recurrence in July 2021. Fun fact, I live in Lakeview in Chicago with BAPOC Faith, and I'm also a certified yoga teacher. I would like to thank the University of Chicago and Comer Children's Hospital. Now we will turn it over to Betty Rogenkamp. Betty has been a wonderful advocate for AYAs and AYAs professionals in Chicago, leading the community collaborative project for the Coleman Foundation to create resources to make the AYA experience a better one.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Yes, my name is Betty Rogenkamp, and I not only work with lovely people in the AYA space here in Chicago, but I'm also your technical person tonight, and I'm not very technical with Zoom. So we apologize in advance for any blips that you're going to be experiencing, but we just hope that you're here and have a good time and laugh with us on this. So we do have a few requests of you. We want you to use the chat. You're doing a great job at that. So congratulations. Communicate, connect with each other, and later in our presentation, you can use this for your Q&A. If you can rename yourself to include everyone who's watching with you, please keep yourself muted, although clapping is very, very encouraged. So unmute yourself for the clapping. If you do have a camera, if you could use it, that would be great, especially during the Q&A at the end, because we'd really love to see all the beautiful faces that are joining us tonight. A little bit of housekeeping. This event is being recorded, except for the Q&A. We'll stop the recording then. And we are recording it because there are several people who cannot make it tonight who registered, and we want to be able to share this with them. And then we have a little bit of a word use and emotional advisory. There is a very good chance strong language and/or heavy topics will be covered tonight. So we wanted to make everybody aware. So now we would like to share with you a little video that we made. It's a community AYA video. It consists of members of the AYA Take Chicago Planning Committee and organizations that are here for you. It'd be better if I started it at the beginning. See, there's one of those blips. Okay.
Hey, Betty, somebody asked about closed captioning too. So while the video's playing, I don't know if you can check into that or not.
you know, that is one of those things that I missed when I set up this invite 2 hours ago.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I apologize.
Well, you're the MVP for doing it all. So.
Thank you. All right, everybody, here we go.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Bordiff Carrera, and I'm the AYA Clinical Oncology Navigator for the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center, Northwestern, and Lurie Children's. I'm also an AYA Hodgkin's and long-term side effect survivor. Our program provides services and resources to young people affected by cancer and their loved ones in accordance with nationally established guidelines to meet the complex needs of AYAs. AYAs and their families can connect to our program and each other through multiple ways, such as our support groups, our Instagram and Facebook pages, our special events, and our Hangouts, as well as our patient advisory boards. Some are also eligible for navigation, which provides counseling and connection to resources, which can help make the experience a little less overwhelming and easier to navigate. This has helped form our AYA community at Lurie's, but we wanted to do more. We in the AYA cancer community in Chicago have come together with the hopes of creating a collaborative event to help raise awareness and to ensure that AYAs in Chicago know we are here for you. I present the AYAs Take Chicago committee members. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dominique James, Clinical Associate here at the Cancer Wellness Center in Northbrook and facilitator of our Young Adult Survivor Support Group. Here at the CWC, we aim to support the well-being of the AYA population by providing free resources, classes, and counseling that are available to you, your family, and loved ones. Please reach out to us at cancerwellness.org.
The Cancer Support Center offers free support services to anyone impacted by cancer. We offer our programs both virtually and in person. Some to highlight today include our young adult networking groups, our free counseling for individuals or groups, our art therapy offered virtually and in person, and nutrition consults, and our free wig boutique. Visit cancersupportcenter.org for more information.
Welcome to Living Well Cancer Resource Center, part of Northwestern Medicine. Our services support wellness and mental health of those impacted by a cancer diagnosis. This is provided through counseling and social work support groups, educational workshops, and art, fitness, and nutrition classes, as well as a wig boutique. All of our offerings are free of charge and available to anyone impacted by cancer, regardless of where they are receiving medical care. To learn more, please visit our website, livingwellcrc.org.
Wellness House is a nonprofit cancer support organization located in Hinsdale, providing programs that support wellness, including information and education, exercise, nutrition, stress management, child and family, and support groups and counseling services to provide support for all those impacted by cancer.
Hello, my name is Ashley Carrasco, and I'm the Associate Director of Virtual Programs at Gilda's Club Chicago, a free cancer support organization dedicated to helping people through their cancer journey. I am also the facilitator for our young adult support group, which meets every third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. You can register for this program by visiting our website at gildasclubchicago.org and clicking on our virtual calendar. We hope that you can join us for our next meeting. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Betty Brokenkamp, and I have a pretty unique role in this AYA space. I'm the one who pulls together AYAs as patients, the clinicians, the people who do research in this space, AYA charities, caregivers, family members, patient advocacies, and community cancer resource centers. Anybody that is in the AYA space. And I pull them together to create better processes of care. Yep, I'm the one who helps everyone. I help patients and I help the clinicians to improve all the crap that comes with a cancer diagnosis.
Hi, I'm Avni, the Program and Community Coordinator for Stupid Cancer. Cancer sucks, and it could suck that much more if you're a young adult, so that's why we're dedicated to empowering and uplifting the adolescent and young adult cancer community by ending isolation and building community. So we offer a very wide range of age-appropriate programs and resources, and that includes patients and survivors who are 15 to 39, their caregivers, their friends, So you can log on to a digital meetup, you can attend a webinar, you can share a story, and so much more. So head over to stupidcancer.org to see how you can get busy living.
The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is committed to providing patients and their loved ones with hope, guidance, education, and support. Some of our free programs and services include family support groups, peer-to-peer support, patient education programs, as well as financial assistance to help alleviate the burden of healthcare costs. To learn more about the services that we offer, please visit lls.org.
Hi, my name is Tyler, and I'm an AYA cancer survivor and thriver, as well as a Board 39 member through the Robert H. Lurie Comprehensive Cancer Center here at Northwestern Hospital. I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma in 2019, and I found that the AYA program here to be more than a resource. It was a safe space for me to process the realities we face as patients, and even at a time where I felt so alone and a little scared, I was able to build a community with people within this program to find support and to find some type of guidance through this really trying time. So events like this are really important to me because it's helped me rebuild myself after having a cancer diagnosis and treatments myself. And I'm just so happy that you all are here today to get a taste of what the AYA program brings to our community. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Denise Martinez. I am a licensed social worker and the AYA program administrator at the University of Chicago Comer Children's Hospital. I am also an AYA 3-time leukemia survivor. At the University of Chicago Comer Children's Hospital, we are aware that adolescents and young adults often confront different personal, psychosocial, and medical challenges than younger children and older adults with the same diagnosis. The AYA program is here to help with the significant life transition and was created as a collaborative program offering coordinated cancer care for young adults ages 15 to 39. You can find out more information about our program on our website and our social media pages. We are so excited to be a part of this event, AYA's Chicago. Thanks for joining us.
All right. We have a Rockstar committee, and we are hoping to have this every year and hoping to have it in person. Now we're going to turn it over. Is everybody ready for a cocktail or mocktail? I'm going to turn it over to Jose Luis Bello Sandoval from Spirit Elephant.
Hello everybody, my name is Jose Luis Bello Sandoval. I am the house mixologist and bar manager here at Spirit Elephant. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to make 2 different cocktails, one mocktail and one cocktail for this upcoming spring and summer season. The first cocktail I'm going to be making is the French Peach Martini. It's very beautiful, nice, bright, tart, sweet, really well balanced, and nice and fruity. So what you need to make this is just 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, 1/2 ounce of lime juice, an 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice, Chambord, which is this really beautiful raspberry liqueur, and 3/4 ounce for that one. And then 2 ounces of the Kettle One Peach and Orange Blossom Botanical to really just up those spring and summer flavors. Now, once you have everything in your shaker, make sure to give it a really nice hard shake so the cocktail gets really nice and frothy. And then just get a really nice coupe or martini glass, whatever you have. Just pour it in. If you shake it hard enough, you'll get this really beautiful, nice froth. And then for garnish, just grab a fresh lemon. Just get the peel. And then just squeeze all those oils straight into the martini glass. And then just rim it. And there you go. Enjoy. So the next cocktail we're going to be making is the pineapple fizz. And the beautiful thing about this cocktail or mocktail is that you can actually make it spicy. You can add a couple of slices of jalapenos, muddle it into the cocktail, or you can even add some vodka or some tequila to make it into a cocktail. It's just a very beautiful blank canvas mocktail. And what you need for this mocktail is 1 ounce of lime juice, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, and half an ounce of agave. If you don't have agave, you could substitute it for simple syrup, but agave really just helps it give a nicer depth of flavor. And just on a really nice hard shake, so you can get it nice and frothy. Get a nice rocks glass, ice in there, and pour. And once you have it poured, just top it with a little bit of ginger beer. Garnish with the lime wedge. And there you go. Doesn't that look beautiful? If you try and make any of these cocktails, feel free to tag Spirit Elephant on any of our social media.
Thank you, Jose Luis, for the cocktail and the mocktails at all. At this time, I would like to take a moment to do a toast to all of those who we have lost and who will always remain in our hearts. At this time, I would also like to introduce Dana Frost with the Forest Joy Project, who is a survivor and caregiver. I had the privilege of meeting Dana last fall at the Faces Summit trip with the Cassie Hines Shoes Foundation. Take it away, Dana.
Thank you, Denise. As she mentioned, she's the reason I am here. We met last year, and just I love you so much. And also, I just appreciate you taking a moment to acknowledge those that we've lost, because I'm here as not just a cancer survivor and a former caregiver, but a cancer widow as well. And yes, I am too young for all of those things. Just like probably everyone that's here tonight is too young for whatever brings you here. A little bit about my story. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 28. I was infuriatingly told that it was the good cancer, which I think a lot of people with certain cancers have heard before. And I relapsed a couple months after my first clean scan, which didn't really feel like it was a good cancer when you're going through it multiple times. And I was told by my oncologist at that point that I needed to hold my breath for the next 5 years and hope to make it through it. And then I could breathe again if I made it to that 5-year mark. And I did. I reached my 5 years of being in remission. And about 2 weeks later, my husband, Brad, felt a persistent little pain in his side. And it turns out that it was stage 4 renal cell carcinoma, or kidney cancer. And to say that felt unfair is the biggest understatement. It felt like we were finally able to kind of move forward with our lives without cancer being a part of it. And now I know, and I think a lot of you probably also understand, that there's not really a fully moving away from cancer. It's something that sticks with us in one way or another. And I'm not going to go into a lot of the details about Brad's diagnosis, frankly, because everyone either is living some version of that or has lived some version of that. But what I will say is that for the remainder of Brad's life, we walked side by side throughout that process together. him as a patient and me as his wife and support system, and then ultimately his caregiver. I used to say that it was much easier to be the patient than the caregiver. And in a lot of ways it was. There's a greater feeling of agency about what you can do as a patient than the often totally helpless feeling of being beside one. As the caregiver, as many of you who are here tonight as caregivers, as you know, you are the note taker, you are the pill pusher, you are the appointment scheduler, you are the bandage changer, the wound cleaner. And a lot of times you're the hope keeper. You're also the gateway and the protector between your person that you're caring for and pretty much everyone else, the public, your friends, your family. And on top of that, you're responsible for providing emotional, mental, and physical support so that your person gets to just focus on healing. And that is a lot of responsibility. And if you as a caregiver, if you're listening tonight, if you take away nothing else from what I say today, I just want you to know that I understand how hard it is and that it is a distinct challenge from what the patient is going through. For me personally, being a caregiver was one of the most isolating experiences. It felt a lot more isolating in a lot of ways than when I actually had cancer myself. So much is centered around the patient, as it should be, but there's not the same level of support, at least in my experience. There's not these kick-ass conferences like this for cancer caregivers that you get to connect with other young caregivers. And if I'm wrong about that and you guys have resources and know, please tell me. And you can't really go on Instagram and complain about how hard it is, because one, your person's probably going to see, and two, they're literally going through cancer. So it makes you feel pretty guilty complaining about like how hard it is for you because you're not actually going through it. As a caregiver, I was exhausted. I was terrified, and I was completely unprepared because in the same way that no one prepares you to be a cancer patient in your teens or in your 20s and your 30s, no one prepares you to be a young adult caregiver either. So all that being said, I would love to offer a little bit of advice, maybe some tips based on my experience. Probably, things that people did say to me or suggest to me. And frankly, I probably didn't listen to, because when you're in it, you don't really hear what other people are saying. But now in hindsight, I wish either I had heard or I had paid a little bit more attention to. So my first piece of advice is to have the hard conversations. I'm a huge advocate for talking about tough things. This is not easy when you're in it, and I recognize that, but it doesn't get easier as time goes by. So lay it out on the table, do it together, talk about the important things. The other thing I would say is to accept help. And I was horrible at accepting help. But in hindsight, I wish I had more. More than likely, you have a village of people that want nothing more than to feel helpful. Most people feel helpless. So if someone offers, try and take them up on it. And if they don't offer, don't be afraid to ask, because as I think you guys all know, when the big C comes into the picture, people get weird, people stop showing up, people are intimidated or afraid, and they don't want to say the wrong thing. So if you need help and you feel comfortable asking, again, I think people want to help. Another thing that I was horrible at, but people said to me a lot, was to take time for yourself. And I hated it. I hated when people talked about self-care, because I was like, the last thing I have time or money or energy for is to go to a yoga class or to get a massage. But they're not wrong. Like, they weren't wrong in suggesting it in some capacity. Some of your caregiving journeys, they're going to be short. Maybe it's a few months while your person is going through treatment. but others, it might be years. So you need to figure out some way to balance time for yourself. And I know that feels so impossible, like I know it. But you'll end up being a better support system if you're able to figure that out, at least in my opinion. I also would suggest you have somebody outside of your person that you're caring for to complain to. We all need someone to vent to without feeling guilty. So having someone else that's kind of outside of the immediacy of what's happening in the cancer world that is just there for your support is essential. And have it be someone that like does not judge you, that you can say anything to, free of guilt. The next thing I would suggest or say is that it is okay to feel grief. I think I felt really guilty about this. Might notice a theme. There's a lot of guilt I felt being a caregiver. But it's okay to feel grief. You don't have to be fine. Your life and your future, it's all different now, even as a caregiver. And grief does not just come with the death of a person. Sometimes it's the death of a life that we planned. And it's okay to mourn that loss in the same way the person diagnosed is mourning that same loss. You know, everything is different for both of you. And finally, I would say to don't forget about the joy, find the joy, even if you have to force it. This is where the Force Joy Project came from. Brad and I made a joke about we have to force joy when we were in really, really dark moments during his diagnosis. And we started to just figure out how to celebrate and acknowledge the wins, even the tiniest ones. We'd find things that would make us laugh. The thing that made us laugh the most was an ass pillow from Amazon so he could sit more comfortably. Like we spent probably $1,000 on like a chair that was fundraised for like the most comfortable chair for him to sit and to be able to write in and connect with people. And it was like a $10 ass pillow. That was like ultimately the thing. And we laughed about that like for hours. And so it's just like acknowledge those moments, because there are so many moments of shit that like, if you can't find these little moments of joy, it's going to be really hard, on top of an already impossibly hard situation. I know that for some of you, your time is more limited than you want that are here tonight, and others are going to go on and you're going to live long lives. And this is going to be some distant memory of, you know, something that you got through or you experienced when you were young. But either way, Brad used to say that we are all terminal, and he was right. Literally, none of us are going to get out of this alive. So whether you're the patient or the caregiver or super lucky like me, and you get to experience both of those in your life, let's just remember that our time here is limited for all of us, and just try and make the most of whatever moments we do get. So thank you so much. I appreciate, you know, getting a minute to share my story, and I'll jump in for the Q&A if anyone has questions about being a caregiver. I am an open book and love talking about it. So reach out or ask then, and happy to talk.
Thank you so much, Dana. That was such helpful information. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to turn to Lexi Reese. She is going to grace us with a song. I'm trying to see the information. Hold on one sec. She's a singer-songwriter, and her first single, Hero Complex, just came out. You can find it streaming on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music. If you want to keep up with her, you can also find her on TikTok and Instagram at Lexi Reese. Lexi, take it away.
Hi, I'm Lexi. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2019. I was 22 at the time, and as already said, I write songs, and I just put out my first song last Friday. It's called Hero Complex, and it has to do with the toxic positivity that I faced during treatment. As Dana was saying, I felt really helpless at a lot of moments during my treatment, and I felt like people were throwing solutions at me to try to help me feel better when all I really needed was for somebody to say that this is really hard, and I see that. So this is about that. Okay, 1 second. All right.
Something's in my blood, I keep ending up on my deathbed. Like a lucid dream, but it's right in front of me, said it in my head. And it cuts me like a knife, taking inches off my life. You know I'm hanging by a thread. It's not a point of view, there's nothing I can do, and I'm half dead. But you keep on showing up in the nick of time. Like you can get me through the night. Got you so obsessed, trying to save me on your hero complex, but you can't change me. Take the ass off your chest, cause I'm losing my mind with the way you keep trying to get up when it's helpless. And I'm helpless, baby. I don't wanna talk, but if you ever listened, you know that too. Blah, 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 say the same shit like you always do. Yeah, you tell me I'll get better, it won't be like this forever. If only I believed that too. Wish you'd save your breath, put that shit to rest, cause it's pointless. But you keep on showing up in the nick of time. Like you can get me through the night. Got you so obsessed, trying to save me on your hero complex, but you can't change me. Take the ass off your chest, cause I'm losing my mind with the way you keep trying to get up when it's helpless. And I'm helpless, baby. Something's in my blood, I keep bending up on my deathbed. Like a lucid dream, but it's right in front of me, said it in my head. On your hero complex, but you can't change me. Take the ass off your chest, cause I'm losing my mind with the way you keep trying to get up when it's helpless. And I'm helpless, baby.
Thanks for having me.
Alexi!
Alexi!
Yes, girl,
Thank you.
Let's go, be sure to do all the speakers. I just want you to be sure to check out the chat because everybody is just going crazy. They love you guys. And a lot of people have posted the link to that song to download on online. So look there to find it.
Good, go ahead. Thank you, Lexi, for your beautiful song. At this time, I would like to introduce the panelist portion. Welcome, panelists.
All right. So I'm going to give a brief bio and then we're going to start talking to our panelists. So first off, we have Carolyn Catlin, who is the creator of My Body of Water, a writer, photographer, grief worker. Her writing has been featured in the New York Times, Teen Vogue, Boston Globe, Longreads, Healthline, Glamour, and her own TED Talk, which has been viewed over 1 million times. We have Trish Michelle, who is a cancer thriver, public speaker, and advocate, creator of Trish at New York City. By the way, watch Trish, watch John Mayer. It will change your life because I never liked John Mayer, but after watching Trish watch John Mayer, I've decided I need to give him another try because she's so passionate about him. She serves as an ambassador for the New York chapter of the Breasties. She's also co-founder of the Hip Hop Happy Hour community, which in 1 year has raised almost $30,000 for charity. we have Kelly Allman, who created No Grief Tourists Allowed and the Cancer Fam Discord. Then we have Chelsea Gomez, who is an artist and creator of Oh, You're So Tough. She is an author and illustrator of 3 children's books about cancer, along with a snarky cancer coloring book for adults. And we have Carlo Lopez, who is a content creator, clinical research nurse at Northwestern Medicine. They all have more than cancer in common. They're all funny, smart advocates and have a huge following on social media because they nail exactly what it is like to cope with cancer as a young adult. Let's give a warm welcome to the first AYAs to take Chicago.
Okay. Now.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the all panel questions. Can you each tell us your name and a little bit about your diagnosis? And we'll do this popcorn style, starting with Carlo. Carlo, take it away.
Thank you, Denise. Wait, let me change my view real quick. Okay, so thanks, Denise. As my name is Carlo Lopez, but before I begin my formal introduction, I'd like to thank everyone, especially the panelists who I handpicked to be part of this event today. I'm one of the committee members for AYA Takes Chicago, and I just want to personally thank all the panelists that are here today, and for Lexi for showing us her talent and for performing her incredible song today. And one more thing, I just like to double back on Jennifer Carrera's what she said earlier and about one of our co-chair, Denise Martinez, on what she did for the past few weeks. Like Denise lost her eyesight, and despite that, she still continued to organize and help this event made possible. And that just shows your incredible passion and dedication to the cause for the AYA community, which you are also a part of, and is an excellent example for everyone here. And I believe I speak on behalf of everyone here in the cancer community to thank you for your contributions and what you do for the cause for the AYA cancer community. So thank you, Denise. Just want to double back on what Jenna said earlier. And
thank you so much, Carlo. I really appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here with you all, and I wouldn't be able to be here without the help of you guys and my caretakers, my friends, and mom, my sister, who's helping me with my script and everything. So thank you guys so much. Thanks, Carlo.
You're doing an incredible job.
Thank you.
So you guys are probably wondering by now, like, who the hell is this guy and why is he talking so much? So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Carlo Lopez. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with primary mediastinal large B-cell lymphoma back in 2014 and had a recurrence 3 months after I finished treatment sometime in 2015. I had a stem cell transplant, which was done in February of 2016 and completed 20 rounds of radiation, along with, I can't even count how many chemo treatments I had, but I've been no evidence of disease ever since. There are some days that I don't want to believe that I'm in NED, but most of the time I do believe what it says on my chart. So basically I've been in remission for like 6 years. And as Jenna mentioned earlier, by profession, I'm a clinical research nurse. I've been doing travel nursing in the past too. And that's my job where I earn my money, but pretty much the thing that I do, I'd say full-time, basically my more full-time job is I'm also the creator of the social media platform that you may know as The Cancer Patient. What it do, Cancer Fam? So let's head it over to Kelly to do the introduction next.
I'm seeing some what? What?
I feel like I should let everybody like take in this moment before.
There's a lot of what's in the chat.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay. I'm following. Cool. Thanks, Carla. My name is Kelly. I was diagnosed with actually the same cancer that Carlo had, primary mediastinal, not diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was diagnosed in July of 2019. I went through DAR-EPOCH inpatient chemo, and I was NED in October of 2019. And been dealing with all the fuckery that comes with it ever since. And that's me. Do I get to choose who goes next?
Yes, you do.
Oh, sick. Take it, Chels.
Hey guys, my name is Chelsea Gomez, or Oh You're So Tough, as you might know me. In 2018, I got diagnosed with the awesome cancer, Hodgkin's, right? Everyone, it seems like so many people here had Hodgkin's. I finished chemo like 2019, January or so, and then I relapsed a few months later, and I got my stem cell transplant on April Fool's Day of 2020. So tomorrow's my rebirth day. And the irony that it's on April Fool's is not lost on me, especially if y'all follow my account, you know how I am. So it's so great to be here. And I just want to say thank you, especially to Carlo, who has also been a big part of what made me want to share all the shit I have going on. So thanks, Carlo. And I guess I'll pick Trish next.
I knew you were coming for me. Hi, everybody. So thrilled to be here. I'm Trish Michelle. I live in New York, Trish, New York City, one half of Hip Hop Happy Hour. For one, I'm pleased that the TCP had the coming out party. So now that my inbox can be left alone with people asking me about your identity. But I was a caretaker to my son, who was diagnosed with APML, acute promyelocytic leukemia, as a teen. And just when we were getting out of the thick of dealing with that, I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, breast cancer. I found my lump. And, you know, from care, all the tricks of the trade I learned from being my son's caretaker, I tried to apply it to me, because just navigating, you know, diagnosis and feeling seen and recognized and fighting for your life, also fighting for like to be treated as a person, you know, explain things to me and have me be a part of my treatment plan. You know, it was very difficult and I'm still learning, right? I celebrated very quietly and then not celebrated 5 years NED last summer. But navigating survivorship is still trash. Cancer is trash, has been, always will be. So the goal of me kind of advocating and speaking out loud and sharing what I've learned so that it could be maybe less trash for the people coming behind me. That's kind of what my jam is, to like make cancer less trashy for the next person. And so I'm thrilled to be here and spill tea. And so that's me. Who's next? I don't see my panel. Oh, Caroline, you're up next.
Thanks, Trish. I'm so honored to be here. My name is Caroline. My Instagram username is My Body of Water. I was diagnosed with brain cancer in January of 2019. I have anaplastic astrocytoma, a grade 3 out of 4. I feel like every name for cancer is so long. And I kind of started sharing my story on social media by accident. I dealt with a lot of chronic illness and chronic pain and kind of years of undiagnosed and misdiagnosed illness. And I started an account that was called The View From Here, because I was kind of making like a tongue-in-cheek, making fun of all these adventure accounts and things like that got to see beautiful sights. And I was like, here I am in my bed. Here's another side of me in my bed or the hospital room. whatever it was. And then when I was diagnosed with cancer, it kind of became its own thing, and I started sharing my story, and it became something that I hopefully builds community, because that's always been my goal. So yeah, I finished chemo and I did radiation and chemo and had surgery, and finished in October of 2019, and my scans have been stable since then, and I'm very grateful for that. My cancer is considered treatable but incurable, so I'm incredibly grateful that it's been stable so long. Thanks. Is everybody go? I think so.
I think so. I think you're good. All right, so I'm going to ask questions to all the panel. You do not have to answer, but if you want to, please do. If you don't, say pass. How did you decide to share your cancer experience on social media pages? Let's start, Caroline. Why don't we start with you, since you're there?
Yeah, well, I spoke a little bit to this, but I think I started it just making an account to update family and friends, and it kind of grew from there. It was incredible to see the stories that would come into my inbox, and the way people felt like they were able to connect with me. I think it's been a huge honor. I really value community, and I think the internet and social media can be a really complicated place. But when things make a feeling, like I think the cancer patient, Carlo's account is an incredible example of that, creating space, and everybody on this panel, for people to connect with others and feel heard. So I didn't intend to make an account that was seen by a lot of folks, but it's been amazing to be able to get to know people and hear other people's stories too.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else from the panel want to answer that question?
I can. So when I relapse, for those of you who have relapsed, it kind of feels really, really lonely when you relapse, because it's almost like people are sick of you having cancer, like as if you're not sick of it enough. They don't really want to hear a lot about it anymore, or you feel like you let people down. And so I was like, well, who can I talk to then? And I was like, well, let me talk to the internet. So I started just drawing to kind of process like what I had gone through, and I shared a few things. And honestly, thanks to the cancer community for always encouraging me to draw and share more. And before I knew it, I had so many lovely new friends and community. And so I encourage you, even if you're shy, please join us. We're nice. We don't bite. We have cookies. They may or may not have edibles in them, but it's like that here. Love you guys.
All right. Anybody else on the panel want to answer that question?
I can. I mean, mine was a bit of a roller coaster. I kind of started it was during, I think, the lockdown that I started making TikToks just for fun. And then I started sharing them at first on my personal page, and people got really weird and just like really grief touristy. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to share it anymore. And then I discovered Carlo's page, and I just started harassing him with my TikToks, just like sending them. And I think he finally just had enough of me. So he was like, hey, I think you'd benefit from the support group for lymphoma patients. And I really did. I started putting my TikToks up on there. I didn't actually put them on the actual app because one of them accidentally went viral, hitting over like 2 million views, and all the comments weren't like appreciating, I thought it was funny, and they were just like, you're so strong, you're so brave, and I was like, dude, I'm just ripping off my fake eyebrow. Like, I'm just chilling. So having that group was really helpful, but I feel like I started spamming that group too. And I think, Carlo, you actually just were like, make a page already. Just make a page. It could be private, and you can let in whoever you want, so the whole world doesn't have to see it. And so that's kind of how No Grief Tourists Allowed started. And I love the little community we have on there. And I feel like it's not the biggest page out there, but I genuinely feel like I connected with so many people that are on there, and I don't know, it feels like strangers but family in a way. So that's how mine got started.
Anybody else?
All right. I can go next. So for me, it's kind of like a unique situation for me. Like I did start sharing my quote unquote uppercase, lowercase cancer journey. Like on my personal Facebook, on my Instagram, like in the Facebook group that Kelly mentioned, which is I'm a mod and admin of. So basically that's like, I remember like one of my friends, she was in hospice already, and she told me that she's just so sick of like people checking in on her, like people asking her like how she's doing, how are you? And like, I'm in hospice, I'm dying. Like, how do you think I'm doing? So I thought like, okay, I'm not gonna be one of those people. So I'm just gonna start sending you memes. And then next thing I knew, I think like if you check on the cancer patient Instagram right now, like my recent post, that was like the first meme that I made. And it actually went sort of viral. Like this was back in 2017, I think. And then since then I was just like, you know what, making memes is fun. So I just like started making memes, but I was just like posting it on Facebook groups. And then eventually sometime in 2018, my friend was like, why don't you just make an Instagram page? And lo and behold, the cancer patient was made. So it's not basically my personal story. At first, it was more of my perspective, but as the community kept growing, it kind of became, it became like a collection of everyone's stories, like hearing my friends' experiences, the community's experiences, and transcending it into memes and support and community. And how it has become today is just surreal. So yeah, like my cancer journey or my cancer story or how I shared my story has kind of like a unique twist to it. It's not very personable. It's not very personal, but at the same time, the origin of it is basically like, you know, like rooted in community, and I'm just mind blowing where it is right now.
I love that. I'd like to go. Mine was born out of, I guess the same kind of like what Carlo, like needing of community and a free space where you can express yourself. You know, like in real life, you kind of, particularly as an AYA patient, even though I'm an older AYA, but still, like you can't really give it to the people that are around you, the real, because you have to be like the model patient. You're taking on cancer with grace and aplomb, and you can't tell your mom that like chemo sucks and like you want to go out drinking with your friends because you're supposed to just be home, like quietly sitting on your rocking chair, like whatever, waiting for the next chemo. So I went to my first support group because I was like, I just need to get these things out. And I was the youngest by far. No one got me. People were talking about their grandkids and other things that didn't. So what was I to do? You know, like no one could tell me where I could find people like me. So the best next step, like Kelly said, is like, go to the internet. I'll find my friends on the internet. And that's exactly what I did, is that I found people that understood what it meant to be like non-compliant, because you're pissed off at the world for giving you this stupid ass thing that you didn't ask for. Like I had lots of big plans, none of which included my kid getting cancer and then me getting, I'm like, how many lightning strikes? Because when he got diagnosed, they told me, oh, it's like a strike of lightning. There's no explanation for it. And then when I got diagnosed, it was the same explanation, that it was like a lightning strike. And I'm like, how many goddamn lightning strikes are going to happen to me in my lifetime? So I went someplace where I could be unapologetically and unfiltered. And then I started finding people that understood that. So I leaned into it more, and it gave me the kind of confidence to go through all the shit that cancer throws at you, because there are people rooting for you that are telling you you're not nuts. online, my good online friends that I've never met. And it helps because, like, the doctors will get into it, I'm sure, but, their job is to just get the cancer out of you and move on. But there's all this other stuff that comes up. And so, like, how do you navigate it if not finding people who can tell you the tips and tricks and ways? And so it's truly been a gift for me. The internet, social media, Instagram, all of it. And I'm totally indebted to it, honestly.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're going to ask a few individual questions. Denise?
Yes, thank you everyone for sharing that. We're going to start with Caroline. You have stated that your cancer diagnosis is more chronic in nature. How does this change the way you relate to what so many call survivorship?
Yeah, thanks. I have brain cancer, and brain cancer kind of plays by its own rules in some ways. And the longer you go out from treatment, the higher the likelihood of recurrence. Because even if the tumor is removed in full, it kind of infiltrates the brain in a way that makes it really difficult to treat. So my cancer is considered incurable, but treatable. And I've had, stable scans since I completed all my treatment. I was really lucky and had my tumor removed in full, which has been really, really beneficial for me. But I think it's an interesting experience. I get scans every 3 months, and it's been really difficult and interesting and hard and all these things to live in this space that feels like between things. Like, I know that my cancer will probably return, or like that it will return at some point in my life. And I have to find a way to build a life in that space and in this kind of like liminal space between, between treatment and then whatever else is out there. And I think all of us as survivors experience that to some degree. I think after cancer, cancer is not over when treatment ends. There's so many ways we have to keep dealing with it. And the fear of recurrence is always there. And I think knowing that it will recur, it changes it in some ways, but it also just is like a constant reminder, it's there. And trying to find a way to, I think it's like, there's a lot of pressure to live each day to the fullest. I think that's something that we hear a lot, especially when we survive. And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. That's too much work. I have to do the dishes. And I think like trying to find that balance between knowing that my cancer is incurable and also being like, well, my life has to keep going and I have to find a way to, find a way to survive within this. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Trish, you have mentioned that sharing your cancer experience online was frowned upon culturally and delayed your social media disclosure. Can you tell me or tell us more about how you navigated that?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the secret that I needed. The whole family banded together and decided that I wouldn't tell the world about my cancer. And I complied at first because, like, whatever, I was dealing with cancer. But when I really needed to, like I said, talk these things out and find the community, find answers to what to do next, I realized that it was too much work to deal with cancer and to deal with the culture. And like, I didn't do anything to cause it. And even if I did, I've got like living to do. I can't worry about what grandma's going to say. And like aunts that I don't even talk to, like, why am I worried about what they think about my cancer? I don't even like them. They don't like me. So it was very difficult and it stunted me and it didn't allow me to heal and to grow and to express myself dealing with that. And so when I decided that, like, if I'm going to live, if I'm going to get beyond cancer, at the time, that's what you think, right? You're going to get beyond it. I have to live fully and completely. And it was work. It was work dealing with cancer and dealing with my culture and my parents and my family. But I'm better off for it. Like, I'm free now. It kind of allowed me to to have conversations that I probably wouldn't, because I'm first generation. And so it's very much built into the culture that, particularly as a woman, first generation, that you're supposed to kind of shrink and stay quiet and don't upset the system and just be in a little corner. And I realized that, like, pardon me, fuck that, I'm not doing it. I got to do this my way. And even though I'm a little bit late, it's just on time, because I just really feel liberated in this post diagnosis, because I don't say post cancer. Once you have it, it's just part of me forever. But post diagnosis, NED life that I'm living now, that's one less thing I don't have to worry about. It's like societal pressure and cultural norms. Like, that's her business. That's their business. It's not my business. And yeah, I feel free. I feel liberated. I feel more authentic and light now that I don't have to worry about the judgment and thoughts of others, because who the hell has time for that? Like, not me. That's for sure.
And how long was it that it took you to sort of, for that to simmer and for you to embark on it?
So I was diagnosed, like I said, I just celebrated 5 years. So honestly, and I think anyone who's been kind of following me for a while, they can probably feel it. Like, I would say, honestly, in the past 2 years, like right after, because you're, as anyone could say on this panel, like when you're in the middle of active treatment, it's like you're in a storm of shit. And so like, you can't even think straight to know what you want and don't want. So it was kind of as I moved out of active treatment and trying to like rebuild what this new life is going to be. And I decided that that new life was going to be my life to live. 100%. So yeah, it would be in the last 2 years. And it's you can see it. Like I said, they could see that I feel like I could take on a lot of shit now that I couldn't before, because I don't have, again, the weight of what others think about me holding me back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Kelly, you have been open about your anxiety during and post cancer treatment. Can you speak a little bit about how you coped with anxiety surrounding the cancer?
Yeah, sure. I also just want to mention that I see certain things in the chat and I'm just really not good at this chat thing. So the Discord, I'll double check to make sure it's on my bio correctly, or as Carlo mentioned, it'll be on TCP's. I'll try to post the TikTok that went viral. And as far as like people requesting the page, I accept anyone until you're proven grief touristy. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now on to anxiety. Well, I have been and I am open pretty much about everything in my life, and anxiety during cancer and post-cancer, but I'm not sure if I've ever really clarified that anxiety isn't something new to my baggage. I've kind of always been an anxious person as long as I remember. I was always that kid that was like, that needed the A+, that needed everything to be perfect, that wanted to have control over everything. So building these coping mechanisms and adjusting my medications have kind of always been part of my life. But when it came to cancer, it was actually interesting because I find that most people, when they develop anxiety through cancer, it's an anxiety of, something mutating in your body that's beyond your control. And then you have no control over it. And it kind of creates that anxiety. And for me, it was almost a relief that I had no control over it, because it was like, oh, that's something that I can put in the hands of these doctors. And I hope it goes well, guys. Like, the way that anxiety manifested in my life during cancer was that I just went crazy trying to control everything else that I could, especially my feelings. So like, can't share too much because it might make somebody uncomfortable. Can't be too hopeful because it might be a bad scan. And you can't be too upset because somebody has it worse. And over the years, I felt like anxiety was maybe just, I've seen it being called at as like a character trait. It's just like, oh, it's cute and quirky. Like I have anxiety. But anxiety is so much more than just worrying or the need to control. Like anxiety causes depression. It leads people to suicidality. It's not just a quirky trait that you have. It's something that needs to be addressed and treated and taken pretty seriously. So over the years, aside for just the medical management of it, along with my good old therapist, Margie, we've tackled a couple of good coping mechanisms too. And really, if you had asked me this question a few weeks ago, I don't know if I'd have as concise of an answer, but this eye patch I've got here is due to a car accident that I was in last week. You know, just a regular Tuesday, and I decided to flip over my Jeep. So thankfully, this was the only injury that I had, but it left me on bed rest for a good week. And although I told myself that I was going to start Grey's Anatomy, I ended up just watching a lot of TED Talks. And I watched a really good one on coping with anxiety. And this woman, I really don't want to botch her name, but I think it's Olivia Remes. I know how to spell it, and I can send you the link to it if you want. But she broke it down into 3 main points of coping with anxiety. And I'm going to kind of use it as her way, because if you were to ask me before I watched this clip, I would have said that I developed a very it is what it is kind of mentality. And not in a passive aggressive way. I genuinely mean like it is what it is, and I can't do anything about it anymore. But the way she broke it down is, and I'm going to kind of, I guess, take my interpretation of it too. One really important way, and I think this is the most important for me, at least in coping with anxiety, is to forgive yourself. I think that anxious people, we're really mean to ourselves. Like I really did not like myself for a very long time. The way that Olivia describes it is like having a friend that's constantly on your back, pointing out everything you've done wrong, everything you could have said better, everything that you're doing that just looks awful. And that's anxiety in your brain. And giving yourself permission to make mistakes, to feel things that you feel, even if they don't make sense, to know that your feelings are valid just because they exist, just because you're human. Like that was something that was so freeing for me to come to that realization. So that would be one. And that would be my top one, is just to forgive yourself, to allow yourself to feel the things that you feel and not feel bad about them because they're valid just because they exist. Another one she brings up is taking action. And this one I didn't even realize I did until she brought it up. She started talking about how anxious people sometimes get paralyzed in doing things that they want to do because they just want to do it perfectly. So like, you don't know the right time to say something, you don't know the right words to use. So you just end up doing nothing at all. And for a while, that was me. I had all these unanswered messages in my phone when I was diagnosed, and people that I really cared about too. And I wanted to speak to them, but I just didn't know what to say. Like I didn't know how to comfort them. And I felt like I needed to comfort them, but shouldn't they be comforting me? And there were just so many things to do and say that I just did nothing. And I think that just letting yourself do something, even if it's not done correctly. She brought up a quote that was, anything worth doing is worth doing badly the first time. And that really hit home for me. I was like, yeah, I might not do it right. I'll get better, but I've just got to start somewhere. And the third thing she brings up, and this one kind of sounded pretty intense at first, was to have purpose and meaning in your life. And at first I was like, nope, don't like that. I'm not going to change the world. I don't want to feel pressure to change the world. I feel like every cancer patient somehow gets that pressure on them to change the world because you lived. So now what are you living for? But instead, my interpretation of that meaning is Get some plants and water them. Get a dog and take care of it. Find something that gives you meaning, that gives you a purpose to wake up in the morning. I know for myself, during treatment, my purpose was my daughter. Anytime treatment got too hard, I would just think that, like, I don't care how shitty I feel, like, I need to continue because she needs a mother. And now after treatment, my reasons and my purpose have expanded into my relationships with people, my career, and even purpose with the Instagram page that I run. So, and I can talk about anxiety for a really long time.
Hey, Kelly, we gotta move on to the next person.
I'm gonna wrap it up.
Sorry, just in the interest of time. Sorry.
I know, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. But I know for myself, and I hope that for others, just forgiving yourself for any confusing feelings, allowing change to happen as uncontrolled and chaotic as it may be, and really holding on to any purpose you have, at least gave me a lot of freedom in my life. So when I say it is what it is, what I really mean is that life can be unpredictable, it can be tragic, and it can be really fucking messy. But I'm gonna keep on keeping on, even if my best isn't really all that great. And that's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, Carlo. Young adult males with cancer typically don't have as much representation at support groups or other psychosocial offerings. Can you talk a little bit about that and what might make them more comfortable in participating?
So I'd like to mention again what Trish said earlier about societal pressures. And I feel like with me, I've been involved in the cancer community since I finished treatment in 2016. I've been involved with various organizations, been with several cancer camps from First Descents to Senate and, other events around the cancer community around the country. And it always has the same ratio. It's there's the majority is always women, and there's 2 or 3 guys. And it's always outnumbered. And I think, Trish mentioned, there's a lot of societal pressure to be positive and to be whatnot. But as for males, the concept of toxic masculinity is still very prevalent. And I think when you talk of support group, the media representation of support group is always crying, dying, and sharing your feelings. And as far as that doesn't really coincide with toxic masculinity. And I've been to support groups where it was, totally unplanned. It was just all men, when I was in the middle of treatment. And that was one of the purest support groups I was in. And, people were just sharing their emotions and not thinking about I shouldn't cry because I'm a man, and I've been to also specific support groups that are only for men, and they put too much pressure for guys to show their emotions, show their feelings. I remember one support group I went to, that was specifically indicated for only for men. And one guy was like, it's okay to cry. I'm like, why do you have to even mention that? That it's okay to cry. We're fucking dying. You have fucking cancer. That shouldn't be a guideline that it's okay to cry. That doesn't need to be mentioned. That doesn't need to be outlined that it's normal to cry. It's not just it's okay to cry because you have cancer. It's normal to cry you have cancer. Whether you're a man, you're a woman, you're a lesbian or gay or whatever your gender may be, and that's just the societal expectations and the norms. And when you have cancer, fuck the norms. You deal how you need to deal with it. And for some people, they may or may not have discovered their questionable coping mechanisms as much as we did. But, I hope that, like at some point in time, like, especially with our community, the cancer patient community, and the panelists here today are all contributing on how to change the narrative and the culture of cancer support, where it is just not about positivity. It is just not about toughness or being an inspiration, but it can also be about vulnerability and being real and raw with yourself. And I believe that is a really important aspect. And I believe that we are truly making strides in changing that narrative and culture in what we are doing right now for our community. And I can only hope that it will continue to get better and going forward.
Okay, thank you, Carlo. Chelsea, you had a small child when you were diagnosed. How did you cope with motherhood and cancer?
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep it together while I talk about this because it's probably one of the hardest things for me. So when I got diagnosed first, it was 2 weeks before my daughter's 3rd birthday. So I just remember like having her birthday party and going to her little daycare with a cake and everything, because I wanted to make sure that if that was the last birthday that I had with her, that she saw me and could remember those things that, you wish your mom always did. So I did that. And it was hard because she was so little. It was hard to explain kind of what was going on to her. And so I think I shielded her from a lot to begin with. But my daughter is super smart and articulate even for her age. And so I saw that later on I needed to be more open with her, especially when I relapsed. But I won't lie to you guys, like there's times when sadly I thought like maybe it'd be better if I did go, because I could leave my daughter, life insurance and, not a life dealing with a sick mom. Because yeah, so when you're trying to go to these events with your children and you're the one with a headscarf on or a bald head or just feeling like tired, but you shouldn't be, there's these other moms that are like the Pinterest moms there, and you like desperately want to be that mom, but you can't. I always tried to put makeup on at the very least to kind of show that, I was still mom, and just kind of be transparent with her, especially now, discussing all the stuff that I do with Instagram. And she's so super proud of me, which is so awesome. And she knows, she knows people die of cancer. I don't shield her from that. I explain it to her, but she is such a more compassionate soul because of what I went through. And I'm so grateful in that sense that she got to see, her mom didn't just stop and give up, especially when things really, really sucked. She just kept going and laughing. And that's the best thing. Me and my daughter would put my wigs on and do fashion shows. And I just want to say to any parent out there, like, I know that you feel guilty because I know I did too, but what your kids remember about you are those silly little moments, like singing Spice Girls into a hairbrush for a Snapchat clip. Like I remember my daughter and I doing that. But I just want to say I am sending so much love to all the parents out there, because I know it cuts you like a knife to your heart sometimes. But anyways, this is why I don't talk about this on my page, because I'm all depressing now, but I love you guys.
Thank you, Chelsea. I know there's a lot of people on the chat that are relating, so hopefully you guys can read the chat after this is all through, because lots of good feedback. The last questions are for any or all of the panel. So having interacted with so many AYAs, what in your opinion are the top 3 unmet needs regarding supportive care and quality of life? 1 minute each.
Okay, I'll go first. For me, the unmet needs of AYAs, I'm sure you all have noticed me bitching about it every day on Instagram. Number one is for the American counterparts here, it's always health insurance. I feel like there's really an unmet need on education on insurance language. Like for me, when I was told like that my treatments were denied, like what the fuck? I'm just like gonna sit here and die because they don't want to pay for my treatment, even though I paid them like $300 per month because that's what they're supposed to do. But there are like ways around it. It's just the way of how this country is and capitalism is, you know. But I really hope that nonprofits and even cancer centers provide more education on insurance language and how to deal with it, how to educate patients regarding appeals and peer-to-peers and all that. Like once you get a denial, it's not the end of the world. Like there are ways around it. I think that's a very important thing. Another thing, of course, financial is always a thing that kind of like goes hand in hand with insurance. And lastly, I think the thing that we always talk about is mental health support. There are varying needs of mental health support. Everyone has unique needs when it comes to that. And I feel like cancer centers have to do a better job of doing mental health assessment and not just like a basic checklist. Like, are you depressed? Have you lost interest in the past 2 weeks on a little piece of paper? Like, we got to do better than that. Like cancer, like we all know cancer is complex, and like the basic depression checklist really doesn't fit the bill for what you go through a cancer diagnosis. And I really hope going forward, or that we can provide more mental health support and like starting with just the basics, just assessment. That's my take on that.
Totally agree. Anyone else?
I can go. So I definitely believe, like, yes, mental health, especially not trying to address it later on, like actually like addressing it along the way when the trauma is happening. Because I know for sure I bottled everything up for the first time and it all exploded out while I was driving home from work one day, just like, holy shit, I had cancer. And so then I went crazy. Next, also like fertility, having more discussions about fertility. I think that's something that a lot of oncologists miss with AYA patients. Obviously not everybody wants to be a parent, and that's okay, but people need to know their options and how it may affect that. And then lastly, like what we're all working on is just like the toxic positivity, how to actually sit with someone in grief or a hard time and just kind of like hold their hand and say, damn, this sucks, rather than trying to say how brave I am, because I sure as shit wasn't brave. But yeah, those are my top 3.
Very good. Anybody else from the panel?
I guess I'll go. A lot of it has been mentioned already, but I really feel, you know how they say, like, you know, when someone signs a contract or something, when they're under distress or something, and it's invalid because you recognize that that person is not of sound mind, what have you. I just feel that they need to recognize that literally we are in the middle of a storm when you get diagnosed, and that you don't know what to expect. Like, they have experience treating cancer, but this is my first rodeo. When I was diagnosed, that was my first time dealing with cancer as a cancer patient. So like, don't sell me a bill of goods that's not real. Don't have me thinking like, you just need to get over this hump and then you can resume your life. That's like fuckery that I think should be outlawed, because this is why we feel so adrift and ill-prepared for survivorship, because you feel like, all right, after my last chemo, I'm going to ring my bell and like go right back to where I left off. And that's totally false. And so don't tell me that. Tell me like this is going to be the hardest shit that you've ever been through, and you may need to say goodbye to life as you knew it, because no matter what, if we get you through this, it won't be what you remember. You know what I mean? So that, because that was part of my anger in trying to figure out what's next. It was like, okay, I would like to go back to how I was in 2016 and just like continue. And it's like, so then I was angry because like my doctor's lying to me, like what to do, what's next. And it's just so difficult that you spend a lot of time that you could use preparing for the next phase, being angry and confused because of that, like basically lie that they told you throughout treatment. You know what I mean? And I just feel like people who've been getting cancer for a long time, couldn't you guys figure this out already? Like, why do I need to go find my nurse navigator? And like, wait a minute, I had a social worker all this time. Why didn't anyone tell me? And like, wait a minute, there's like therapies that like, wait, I can go to get Reiki. Like, why is there not literally, not just like standard of care, but standard of caring for the cancer patient that like, no matter what cancer you have, these, whatever the bullet point list of support exist so that you can realize like, wait a minute, y'all have been slipping. I have not been introduced to my social worker. It says so on this document. Where is the document? So I feel like there should be a cancer contract 101 something so that you can hold people's feet to the fire. And I'm sorry I'm getting worked up because I've been holding it in and I haven't fleshed out all my thoughts, but clearly it's a need.
Somebody get her a washcloth.
Amen.
You're getting a million preaches, a million yeses. Hallelujah.
You got me all worked up. Where's my alcohol?
Standing O, they said. Standing O. Go to town. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Anybody want to follow that? Any other unmet needs?
Trish, you're amazing. I just want to say off of that, I think I think a lot about before diagnosis. It took me 5 years to get diagnosed with my cancer. I had to beg doctors to take me seriously. And I was misdiagnosed and ignored and dismissed. And I think medical professionals believing young folks is really important. And like as young people being taught how to advocate for ourselves, that doesn't happen. Like, we have to learn that all ourselves. And I'm incredibly lucky that one primary care doctor agreed to order an MRI that found a brain tumor. And a lot of it has to do with privilege too. As like person that could afford to do treatments, even if they were denied by insurance, like the test that I had found that my tumor was malignant was originally denied. And I could, I knew that if worse come to worse, I could figure out a way to pay for it. And that's privilege. Like, I think all these, just medical professionals being aware of what people are going through and that to believe people and what they're saying and recognize the amount of barriers we face just literally just trying to get a diagnosis is incredibly important because so often people aren't believed.
Yeah. That is maddening. I'm so sorry you went through that. Anybody else before we start the next question? All right, Denise, take it away.
Yes. Okay. What has been the most rewarding part of your work, and how has that shaped how you cope with cancer?
So I'll go. So for me, most rewarding. As you all know, like the cancer patient, like I don't know how many followers we have right now. It's like around 80,000 now. And I think the most rewarding part of it is just how I just started it off with like knowing that I have the skill set of having that sense of humor and at the same time that compassion and empathy of wanting to help people who are walking in and stepping into my shoes. And next thing I knew, it was just like I have like I remember when I first started, I was just like, it would be cool if I have like 100 followers like every week. And I think it was like in less than 2 months, I had like 10,000 followers or something. And then that really just hit me that, wow, I'm actually doing something good here. And yeah, and I feel like the most rewarding part of what I've been doing, from sharing my story to transcending it into memes, into forming into a community that we have today, like that as a whole is like just the most rewarding thing that I've been, aside from giving memes and providing like minuscule laughs when you're like in the waiting room or while you're waiting for a scan or you're checking my chart or whatever. But it also has like provided answers for you, validation and community, that and the narrative and culture of cancer support is not just based on positivity and the warrior mindset, but it can also be based on, vulnerability, humor, and the rawness of how you really feel about what you're going through. And you don't have to sugarcoat anything about what you're going through, and you just can be real about it.
I'll go next. So similar to what Carlos said, just like, I guess probably a lot of you guys have imposter syndrome like me. So you think like, stuff that you're doing isn't really making a difference. And so when I hear from people that it is, it just touches me. And I just always love the moments when I hear from people that they were like at a scan or somewhere and they looked at my page and they smiled and laughed at something I have posted, or even sometimes they cry. And it allows me to feel like I'm there a little bit with you guys. And I think that's nice, because I wish I could be like, there holding your hand. And it's like a virtual way of doing that, which is lovely. And then I also love, honestly, how the Salty Sundays and WTF Wednesdays get shared to the muggles in your lives and make them, send in the DMs like, this me? And they're like, maybe. So that's always fun for me.
I could speak next. For me, I think the most rewarding thing has been to see any connections that have formed through my page, because that's kind of why I like the purpose that I wanted, besides for sharing all the TikToks that my family didn't find funny. I just wanted to try to be kind of like a resource for things that I wish I had available when I was going through treatment. So just, in my highlights, like if we're having any recommendations, we recently just did a whole packing list of things to bring to chemo, whether it's that or tips for nausea. If somebody just wants to share their handle, I remember people sending me pictures when they first met up because they met through my page. Or I think the first thing that really hit home actually was when somebody had posted during like Tuesday tea that it was their cancerversary and they didn't feel comfortable buying their own cake and nobody knew how important it was to them to have the cake. So they didn't get one and they didn't feel like they celebrated. And somebody saw that and wrote back and anonymously ended up just like mailing or bringing a cake, like getting a cake to this person through the anonymous Tuesday tea that happened. And it was so heartwarming to see that like that made a difference in someone's life. And like, it wasn't me doing it because obviously I'm limited in all that I could do, but it was nice to be able to be somebody that can facilitate that kind of change. So yeah, I think seeing like the change and like seeing that you can really make a difference, even if it's not you directly, but you can bring people together. That's really been the most rewarding part for me.
That's amazing. Anybody else?
I'll go. I appreciate all the stories shared here. I think for me, it's these moments of individual stories that are shared with me that feel really huge and important and significant, and I remember all of them. And I feel like I make these connections. Being sick is so isolating, especially when you're young and what you want to be doing is connecting with your people in your community, and you're alone and in your bed or in a hospital room. And I think when I think about what's the most rewarding, I remember this message I got from someone that said her sister had passed away like the week or two before. And she said that she and her sister used to sit in bed, in her hospital bed when she was on hospice, and read some of my posts. And she felt like someone else got it. And for me, that was enough to make anything I've ever, written on there worthwhile. Because I was like, one person felt less alone when they were feeling isolated, and that's such a huge honor to be able to be one of those people and facilitate that, like Kelly said.
That's awesome. All right, well, we had more questions, but I think I'm going to open it up to the audience now instead of reading our questions. So if you have a question, put it in the chat. There was already a question, but it was way back there behind 100 different questions. So, comments. So if you could put in your questions now, and then I can read them out. And if you want to add to them, you can add to them. And if you don't ask a question, then I will ask another question. Let's see. Okay, there's a million chats here. Let's see. Okay, until somebody asks a question, I'm going to ask another one. So what do you think are the top outcomes of the work that you're doing, and where do you see potential outcomes with the building of these communities of AYAs via social media?
Okay. I guess I could say something. As far as like the goals, like when I started the page, it was just basically for me, like, hey, maybe like my friends or, people would find this funny. But when it got to the point where I realized that it actually can become something bigger than that I actually have, I was in a position to change the narrative and the culture of cancer support. And I think that's kind of like have been my goal since then, on how like we not only to focus on, like the winning stories, like can we also focus on the chronic stories? Can we also focus on like the struggles with survivorship, and not just only like the Lance Armstrong stories, and like kudos to them, they did great things, but at the same time, like too much fixation is put on those stories, and there's like little to none attention to the struggles that cancer patients actually go through. And I believe like I'm striving to put more awareness, put more attention to those stories. And I'm like hoping like going forward that we can shine more, put more attention to those situations, and like with as far as survivorship, chronic metastatic, and even like those within treatment, and not just like focusing on the people who like had like this extraordinary achievements after a cancer diagnosis. Like how about let's put attention on the average Joe cancer patient. Like there's nothing wrong with those patients as well. Like let's put a shine on those. So yeah.
And that's the beauty in what each of you has done is it, like you said, no disrespect to those people who, take it and run with it and, build it on for profit or whatever, or run a marathon, but you're bringing attention to the layers of things that go on with cancer patients, the real stuff. And that is so appreciated. And it gives people permission to feel validated and normalized. So thank you.
Right. Like if we look at like social media and, like the big followings of, the people who go viral, they're always typically those, like inspiring stories, or those who are, aesthetically, pleasing. And here we have a collection of people who have just like their stories and their vulnerability and their rawness to express their story and, you know, the best way they can. And somehow they form these communities that, you know, are irreplaceable and you can't find anything elsewhere and are, you know, genuinely have each other's back. And I think that's like such a beautiful thing. And, you know, and that's rare to find these days. And it's rare at the same time, it's getting bigger too. And like I said, I'm hoping like the big picture goal of everything that we are doing is just to change the narrative and the culture of cancer support. And I really believe that we are getting there.
Yes, you are. You have expanded what inspiring is. So we have a lot of questions now. So have any of you been recognized in public yet? Asked Julia. No. No. Carlo, I would imagine you have.
Yeah, like I wear like a badge reel with my logo on it. There was like a couple of doctors or coworkers where they were like that logo looks familiar, isn't that the page on Instagram? Like, and I'm just like, you follow that page? But yeah, that's just about it.
So Lexi wants to know, what's your favorite song? Anybody have their own like song that they think of to wallow or rev them up?
I can promise you it's not the fight song. That Mark, I know for sure.
I was just about to say that.
For sure.
That's a good one, Trish. That's a good one.
My daughter came home singing that. I said, oh no, I'm gonna need you to stop right now.
I want to hear your favorite song, Chelsea. I'm sure it's like
Take It Back Sunday.
Yeah, there you go. I was about to say that.
Everyone knows that.
Hero Complex. That's our favorite song, right?
Oh, for sure.
There we go.
You haven't downloaded it yet.
What advice would you give around dating? Who wants to go for that one?
The look on Trisha's face says that she wants to answer this question. So take the floor, Trish.
I mean, listen, I just, again, going with the whole like being free and whatever, like I see a lot of questions, even on your page, Carla, when people are like, should I put it in my profile or should I wait for the first date or second date? I think if for nothing else, that cancer has served as a wonderful filter that, you know how you can filter, I want someone tall, I want someone that lives like 3 miles away. Put the cancer right there so you can just filter out the people that don't get it. Like I couldn't imagine like wait until date 3 to find out that like not only is cancer trash, but so is this guy. No. Put the bald picture, put cancer, bold. I like walks in the beach, alcohol, and had cancer. That's my advice. But then again, I'm not really dating right now. So maybe you should ask someone else.
If they ask you if your port scar is a hickey, no. I'm sorry. It's a no.
I was actually at a bar once and some guy came up to me and he's like, I like your hickey titty. And I was like, first of all, I think we should make a dating thing just for cancer patients. I'm married and I have a child and my dating life is has been dead since I was 15, but I feel like a lot of people really want
it. That's awesome. I'm going to interject for a second. It is 8:30 if you want to jump off, but we are willing to stay longer for anybody else who wants to stay longer. We are here. So anybody else have dating tips before I move on to the next question? What is your favorite post-scan ritual?
Sugar.
Mimosas all the way.
What was that, Carla?
Mimosas.
Oh, mimosas.
Casamigos.
I always try to order like my favorite food for dinner plus plus mimosas or whatever it is. But I also think one thing that's really important is like the way your body feels during a scan. I mean, you're physically like immobilized, and it messes with you to a certain degree. I think even if we don't necessarily recognize it, because there is that fear of what am I going to find out after this. So I try really hard to like move the parts of my body that weren't able to move, even in just like really small ways, to be like, this is my body. I'm in control of it. Like, I'm not stuck in an MRI tube forever. So that's something that really helps me.
That's a good one. Anybody else? And by the way, we do have a resource packet for you. Betty, I don't know if you wanted to, how we're sharing that with everybody. There you go.
I'll throw it up on the screen really quick.
Okay, so we have a QR code and we have some local and national resources, crisis resources. And we'll throw that up before we continue with the Q&A. Because now we have a million questions. So. All right. How do you manage the decision-making fatigue when it comes to making choice for yourself after treatment? Meaning I always worry about doing something wrong and I'll have a relapse. And if Leha, if you have more to add to that, feel free.
Please touch finish on
Uh-oh. Anybody have an answer to that? How do you manage decision-making fatigue?
So I actually.
Carla, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
You go ahead, Chelsea. You're good.
Sorry, this is from my actual therapist, so I think it's good. I was always afraid all the time I was going to relapse. Of course I did, but he told me like, just live every day like you are going to remain well, because then you're not wasting the time that you're healthy. And if you do relapse, then you can address it then, but you didn't spend all the good days you had worrying about the bad days coming, because maybe they won't come. And I think that is something like when I heard that, I was like, okay, because I know up until I did relapse, I spent every day on support groups, on Facebook, on everything, looking at symptoms and convincing myself I had already relapsed. So like when I relapsed, it felt like finally the monster caught me and I could just relax, when I could have just been living every day truly to the fullest and focusing on the moment.
Okay. As for me, like this decision-making fatigue, I actually, aside from my personal experience, I also encounter that question a lot at work as a nurse. For me, like decision-making fatigue when it comes to worrying about if the cancer comes back, it's easier said than done, but my best approach, like for me, like when I was going through that, my approach was just to let the why, let go of the why, like, why did I have cancer? What can I, like, why would it come back? Just let go of that. Like, there's really, just like, for me, it was just like accepting the fact that it was just like shitty luck. It was just like shitty DNA, shitty cells. Like, I couldn't have done anything to prevent it. I could have, like, if it comes back, if it doesn't come back, it doesn't matter if I eat a piece of cake tomorrow, if I eat a Reese's like cup in the shower or whatever your questionable coping mechanisms are, just let go of it. And just, it's easier said than done, but letting go of that why and blaming yourself is the most liberating thing you can do for yourself when it comes to cancer.
Yeah, that was a loaded question.
I want to eat Reese's in the shower now. I'm going to try it.
That's a great idea. I don't know if this is exactly what the question was asking, but in terms of decision-making fatigue, like taking a break from making decisions about, I feel like some of the best things I've done for my health has been like, actually, I'm not going to get that. I'm going to wait, I'm not going to push up that scan. I'm going to give myself another week. I'm going to like not go get those labs because I think I don't actually need them right now. And just like letting yourself have agency over your body, because there's a lot of ways we don't get that when we're going through treatment.
Yes, it's a really good point. And Trish, that reminds me of one of your reels where you're talking about the medicine. Should I take the medicine today or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
All those daily decisions that you have to make. Yeah.
It's true. Sometimes, I mean, saying what Carol and everyone else said, like I have to follow up with my breast surgeon. I'm like 2 months overdue for my appointment, but I had to just put like cancer in a drawer for a second because I found myself like, this lump, was it always there? Is it? And I got it like scanned and then they don't see something. And so like I was going bananas, literally trying to, and I'm like, am I willing it back? Like, am I being like extra, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, am I really advocating for myself, or am I trying to justify this like spiral that I'm going on? Because then like when they finally tell me, God forbid, the cancer's back, then I can rest. I said that once before on my Instagram, and whoo, the story, it was like the DMs were lit because I was like saying like, okay, I'll tell the whole joke. Like, so there's that scene in like, I Know What You Did Last Summer where like Jennifer Love Hewitt's like, come on already, like, come get, whatever the hell she says. And so like, that's what I put in my story. I'm like, would cancer just like come? Because if it did, then I could breathe. But like, you can't say that stuff to like, not even within our community, you can't say that stuff, right? It's like very controversial. But it's the like, if it would just come, then you could like let your shoulders down, because the looking over is nuts. And so I just decided to deal with it with questionable coping mechanisms and also putting cancer in a drawer. I'll open the drawer maybe in a week or 2 or a month, but at some point you just have to stop because you can really drive yourself nuts. Until then, come on already. I mean, you know, it's exhausting. Survivorship is so freaking exhausting. And so like, you just have to find your moments of joy and rest, because it's going to always be there. Like my breast surgeon's not going anywhere. So he'll wait another month or so.
That's awesome. Have any of you ever blogged about cancer? If so, do you have tips for somebody who just started a cancer blog?
I don't. Go ahead, Carla.
I've never like started a blog. Like I remember my brother was always telling me in the military, like, just start, like, you should just write a blog. And I always thought to myself, like, I'm more of a one-liner person and not like a blog person, which is very fitting because I'm like making memes now. But like the same concept is just like, you know, like when I started The Cancer Patient, I really didn't care about followers. I still don't care about followers now. It's just, you know, like being genuine and, you know, making content that makes sense to you and fits with your story, and not worry about how many people will read your blog, how many people will follow your page or whatever. Like, just start it and, you know, just be genuine. And I always say that like the audience will always see how genuine you are and how true you are to your message. And that's what matters the most.
Yeah. Good advice. Do you have any advice for AYA patients who are done with treatment but not in remission? It's a weird in between.
I can speak to this to some degree. I think, advice. I mean, my neuro-oncologist always says that being in kind of this space where you're not necessarily terminal, but you also are not like NED and you're not done with treatment forever, or you know that there's likely a recurrence coming in the next few years, is he says he sees his patients in that area not know how to cope. Like they don't know, they go to one direction or the other a lot of the times. Like they completely deny it's happening, or they're like, I'm going to spend all my money and I don't know, buy an island or something. And that's like not a way most of us can live. And I think I don't know, I guess my advice would be to acknowledge how hard it is for yourself, like validate that it's an impossible way to be that like close to your mortality. A lot of the time is so difficult to be in everyday life, and to find other people that have a similar experience, and talk to them and share that experience with them, and also like give yourself permission to completely forget that you're a cancer patient sometimes. Like shut that off, whatever you can do something that's in a different world and give yourself a break. Yeah, that's the best I got for that.
Excellent advice. It says, I've been dealing with a lot of loneliness that often manifests as anger as a result of a lot of my quote friends ghosting me and the lack of support I received. Do you have any advice or tips on how to move on and deal with these emotions healthfully? Ida.
I just, first of all, just want to say it happens to all of us. Like, I remember before I found, this community, I thought, damn, what did I do? Like, I'm just dying. Like, I didn't do anything to you to, for you to stop being my friend. I had one especially that was not good. There's nothing that I can tell you that's going to make it hurt less, to be honest with you, because it hurts. It freaking hurts. And it still hurts today. And it's been years that this has happened. I just think finding solace in a community of people like this who can relate to you and see you, and you can kind of swap out like that toxic friend for a really cool cancer bestie. And that's kind of what I've done. Like, if I looked at my friends list on Facebook now, 90% of them is people that I've met throughout this experience. And although like it still hurts to this day, I'm like you get to a point where you're like, bye. Like, you don't care anymore because your life is so much more fulfilled now.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, because I mean, I think naturally, like I've never held grudges for too long. But when cancer hit, the whole like everyone kind of dipping out at a certain point hit different, and I really struggled with not holding a grudge. So I was like, I'm about to I might potentially not be here anymore, and you're already gone. But I think, and I forgot who told me it, probably my therapist, that everyone has limitations, and there really is no guidebook for how to react. In the same way, there's no guidebook for how to deal with cancer and how to deal with life after cancer. There's no guidebook for how to deal with when your friend or your family member gets cancer. And that kind of put it into perspective for me to just accept it as kind of like a limitation. Like, we all have our limitations, and these are my friends' limitations. Like, maybe it was hard on them in a different way that it was hard on me, but they didn't know how to be there for me. And that's their limitation, and that's okay. I thankfully have a community of other people who can be there for me in this regard, and maybe they can't, and I have to put that aside. Not every friendship can withhold that. And I think there were certain friends that I could do that with and certain ones that I couldn't. And there were certain friends that I actually said, you were really shitty. Like, you were really shitty to me, and I expected a lot more from you. But not many friendships can withhold that. I think each one has to find their place. So whether it's being honest, whether it's just accepting a limitation, or kind of like Chelsea said, filtering out the real ones, you have to decide what works for you.
Good answers. How to tackle the battle, war, fight language around cancer. I don't feel like a soldier. I feel more like a damp washcloth. From Kim.
As far as like battle language, and I mean, with pretty much the language with cancer in general needs a lot of revamping. Like, I think I read an article how the battle language originated sometime during the 70s when the government was funding more into cancer research and advertising it like in a way that it's like a battle or a fight against cancer. And like it's like what, 50 years later and we're still like doing the same thing. And we can't deny like the strides we've made with mental health and how the stigma with mental health has changed in the past decade. And like why can't we do the same with cancer? Like it's time to let go of the battle language. Like it can be helpful to some, but it can also be like very detrimental. And at the same time, like why can't we just accept it for what it is? Like society has changed a lot since then, and I think that's like one of the many things that we can start changing too.
Yeah, I think the more that we talk about it and be honest about the way that it makes us feel, that's the only way people can change. If you don't talk about it or tell them how you feel, they're not going to know. So if somebody calls you brave or inspirational or a warrior and you're not okay with that, you have to be upfront with them, because they can only do as good as they can, and so I really truly believe that, by all of us speaking out and having these conversations, although they might be hard, it will make a difference for the next generation of people who have to go through this experience.
Yep. How do you guys tell people about your cancer, especially as an AYA cancer survivor? I always worry about how they're going to react, that I end up not saying anything.
I don't know at least for me, I feel like there is no right way to say it. I know that I'm really like casual about a lot of traumatic shit. Like I'm way too chill about a lot of things that have gone wrong in my life. And I don't know, it might make people uncomfortable, but at the same time, like, I don't expect a good reaction because I didn't give a good like way of saying it, like I feel like I carry my port when it was taken out. I asked to keep it and I bedazzled it and I wear it on my badge. And I remember somebody coming up and saying, "I love that gem that you have." And I was like, "Thanks, it was my port." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, like when I had cancer." And they're like, and I mean, this is a wig, like and back then I had even less hair to cover. And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a wig, like I'm bald." And like, I'm just very casual about a lot of really not casual things. But I don't know. I feel like as long as you're okay not getting a perfect answer, you can give a non-perfect explanation.
Yeah, I think I would just build on what Kelly said, is like sharing to share because you want to, and releasing because you can't control how someone's going to take it. Even if you say it, find the perfect way to say it, or you say it like how Kelly and I say, which is like, "Oh, by the way, I had cancer," like, and pass the catch up. Like that's how like matter of fact some of the disclosure can be when you're telling people you have cancer. But how they receive it is kind of like not your business. Really, I don't take it personally. I would prefer sometimes if it's not a big dramatic thing. Like when I first told my first friend, it was this very tender, like I could hear the instruments playing and I'm like, okay, I'll never do that again. Like, I don't want that for sure. But like how they feel is like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and so I don't take on that, because I think that's one of the lessons that we've all learned in this like journey, right? The cancer journey is that like, you can't take on everyone's emotions about your cancer, because it is exhausting and you'll never be able to like master the right way. It's just too exhausting to worry about everyone else like feeling about your cancer, because you have the cancer or had the cancer. So maybe just keep that in your back of mind, that whatever they feel is however they feel. And so you just say it in the way that makes the most sense for you, if that makes sense.
Yes. I can't get my husband to prepare for that in case something happens. Maybe write a letter to my boys or make a video. What would you say? What would you say? Should I push more or just let it be? Our boys are 5 and 8. My husband says he doesn't like to think about that. So I guess my question is, how would you handle it?
I think that you should do what you want to do. I mean, I know you want to include your husband for sure, but if you feel called to write a letter or to make a video, then do that, because that's, something that you're leaving, for your children. Nobody wants to talk about dying, even though, we joke like, good job not dying. Nobody really wants to talk about it in a true sense. It's a very difficult topic. And so I think give your husband that space if he needs it, to not, don't make him do it if he doesn't want to. But of course you do need to have those conversations. But I think just going ahead and, maybe you write him a letter, and have him read it or something like that, just to kind of ease into it. But I think you should do what you feel called to do.
All right, thank you. I think we'll do one more question and then wrap it up. I'm just scrolling through all the comments. Let's see.
I think the comment from way earlier was about survivor's guilt, and I think somebody else also just posted a comment about survivor's guilt in the chat.
Thanks, Lainey.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Do you have it? Because I can't find it. So you want to read it?
It's so far back and I didn't save it. So if you're still on here who asked the question, you can ask it again. But also, Dakota also asked about dealing with survivor's guilt too. So maybe we could just talk about survivor's guilt in general, like how to deal with it and different thoughts.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, like I said earlier, I've been in the cancer community since 2016, and and for the past 3-4 years, I've been very close with it, and you can only imagine how many friends that have passed from cancer since then. And I feel like survivor's guilt is an inevitable part of having cancer. It will always be there. And like for me, I remember my first cancer friend passed away while I was just getting discharged from my stem cell transplant. Like he was the one who gave me all the tips, like on how to deal with a stem cell transplant. And by the time I got discharged, I heard he passed away. And every now and then, like I'm friends with his widow, and every now and then I see a Facebook post of his widow, and it just like hits me. And like, wow, it's like it just hits me out of nowhere. And it's just an inevitable part of it. And there's really no right or wrong answer on how to deal with it. But like for me, the best way to deal with it is just like, feel the feels, and, like don't be in denial about how you're feeling towards the situation. Like for me, like, yeah, you're feeling guilty. Like, why me? Like it also like comes to the point of when I was saying earlier, like you got to let go of the why. And it's just more of like channeling your reason, or like channeling like what, like for me it's like paying it for, I want to pay it forward. Like I know I can never make up for all the help my cancer friends that passed away they did for me, but I know that I can pay it forward and help other people that are still going through it. And like that's how I deal with survivor's guilt.
think Carlos said that so well, but yeah, I think what I try to do is pay a lot of attention to my language when I talk about surviving, and try to hold both. Like, I am incredibly grateful that my scans are stable and that I am still here. And also, it will never be lost on me how random that is, like luck isn't even the right word. Like, it's just random. Some of us get to survive longer than others. And I think like being aware of that when I communicate something like that, I try to hold both of those things at the same time, and acknowledge how unfair it is and how brutal and unpredictable, and also how I'm so glad that I do get to be here.
I think we're all making our friends proud that are not here anymore. Our friends, our family, by being here, by talking, by changing things. That's all we can do, to keep their spirit alive. And, hopefully one day we don't even have to have this type of Zoom call and cancer's just like a moonshot away, like whatever they call it now, cancer moonshot. But it's just like, I think that's the best way, is just laughing at things and being there for other people who need us, is the best way I can honor them.
I know for me, at least, also, like, keeping their memories is like part of what keeps them somewhat alive to me. Like, I think just at first, when like the first cancer friend that I lost, like, I know that it was really hard, and I tried pushing it to the back of my head because I just wanted to be present for everybody else. But the one person who had passed away, she kind of like said that she wants to be alive in everybody's lives that she's been in. She doesn't want to just go away just because she's not here anymore. So certain things that she would do, or certain things that she'd say, or certain things she enjoyed, she would say, like, let that be me in your life. And so at least for me, that's kind of what I try to do, is like, at least, the people that have passed, take something from them that I know they enjoyed or that they said, and like keep them alive in that regard, even though they can't be here in person.
Denise, you want to wrap it up?
Yes, thank you guys, everyone, for being with us tonight. We loved having you all, and we look forward to seeing you next year at our next event.
Yeah, you can unmute and clap too if you want. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We have 180 more questions, so we might have to do this before next year, right? All right. Good night, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.